Welcome back to the program. I thought one of the interesting things we could accomplish in our hour today is kind of a fan's guide as to what the offense is about. Dave Womack's already told us the defense is organized chaos.
Right.
Well, if the defense is organized chaos, I can hardly wait to hear what this is. But let's be logical about it. It's football, first of all.
Right.
But when people say that Paul Johnson's offense is the triple option, they're not really covering the bases, are they?
Well, not really. That's one play, and that's we run that play. Maybe 20% of the time, or 15, depending on the game. Sometimes less than that, but it would be just like calling an I formation and say that's the sprint draw offense, or the lead draw, or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of I guess a misconnotation, if you will.
All right, now where did this start? Where did you come up with this is the best way for my coaching staff, or the way I like to play football, and if I'm ever a head coach, this is what I'm going to run? Where did it develop, I guess?
I think actually it goes back to a couple of things. When actually I was a defensive coach when I first started out at Georgia Southern with Coach Russell in the early 80s. And we always felt like the hardest offense to defend was the old wishbone offense with two wide receivers. And because you couldn't throw out of that offense as well, we wanted to get those guys up closer to the line. So I guess in 1984, Ben Griffith, who was the offensive coordinator at Georgia Southern, went and visited the Houston Gamblers with Mouse Davis, and they came back with the double slot run and shoot type deal. And they put a little bit of option with it, and they played that way for 84. And Ben left. I was still coaching defense. And in 85, Coach Russell asked me to move over and take over the offense. So we did that. And we kind of got in it and started running more option, coupling it with the things and different schemes out of the option. And we've been doing it now for about 23, 24 years. And through the years, whenever somebody came up with a way to defend us that we felt like were tough, we'd add a wrinkle or add a play or add something in formation to it, and it's just kind of evolved. So it's a combination of a bunch of offenses put into one. And what we've got up here on the board is, just like a slot I formation that, a pro style offense, if you would, that everybody runs or whatever. And as you can see, the guys are labeled, with X and Z at wide receiver. I put this guy as a Y, he could be whatever, another wide receiver, a fullback and an A-back. Well, if you come down here, this is our base spread alignment, and we still have the X and the Z for the receiver. We have what we call two A-backs. We could call one A and one Y if we wanted, but we just always call them A because they're interchangeable. And if you use quick short motion to get to here, what do you have?
An I formation.
The same one that you have there.
Right.
But you've done it with motion quickly. And now from a defensive standpoint, here they can't determine an offensive strength, where here is the two receiver side. So we could make the two receiver side either way with two-step motion. So we could basically run all the plays out of this that you can run out of this if we chose to do so. The personnel's a little bit different for us. This B-back guy is kind of the featured back as opposed to just a blocker that's a lead blocker up here. So he's the featured back in our offense. And with the quick motion, we can do a variety of things. And we could line up if we wanted to get the strength of a formation. We could take this A-back and we could put him over here, and now you have trips. It's the same now by the motion. You can be in a twin eye. So you can do all the same things. There's not any plays you can run out of this that you couldn't run out of this. Now, historically, what we've done the last few years is we've been very heavy option oriented. Not just the triple option, but the midline and the counter and the speed and a lot of different areas. And then we've incorporated some run and shoot passing game with a sprint out game where we run three receiver routes where you guys might get your curling out like up here, and this guy would block as opposed to coming from back here and blocking. Same deal as here. Or, you might can run four receiver routes where you change the pass pro and you send this guy out into the route. You can motion back to doubles. You could get in, motion this guy. Now you're in wide twins. So you can do about anything that you can out of this offense that you can do out of any of the others, really.
All right, let me ask you about the quarterback, because this is the trigger guy literally in the entire process. It's a read and react situation for him. How much of the time, and realistically, what are his basic responsibilities?
Well, it depends on a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of the options are reads, and It actually depends on how much this guy can handle and how good a player he is. You can limit what he has to do if the guys around him are better. You know, if you've got a really strong front and you may not ask him to read as much. You may just run some zone plays and hand the ball off and let him drop back and throw. Ideally, the perfect guy there would be a guy that understands the system, can get you in the best direction, because if the defense declares one side as a strength, we want to go the other way and make that the strength. So we pick up angles and numbers. So it's, you know, that guy has as much leeway as he can handle, and that's our job as coaches and mine, not to try to overload him and give him more than he can handle. So it's going to be a learning process, but it's, you know, it's no different than if this guy were up here. He's more involved in the running game for us than up here, but if you look today in today's offenses, the defenses are too good. If you don't have a quarterback that can run the ball, it's very tough to play. So that's why you see everybody wants the mobile quarterbacks, no matter what they can do, because if the defense has to account for a runner at quarterback, it changes the way they can play.
All right, good old Paul Johnson. I really, really like Paul Johnson. Great coach, great offensive mind, who doesn't get nearly as much publicity for being an innovative offensive mind as he should, mainly because he's coached at places like Georgia Southern, Navy, and Georgia Tech. It's interesting, though, when Notre Dame fired Bob Davie, and before they went with the, how did it go? They had George O'Leary first for like a day and a half, and he had some kind of, you know, snafu occur, and they ended up with Tyrone Willingham. But Paul Johnson was available, and I would have loved to have seen Paul Johnson get that job. It would have never happened, but I would have loved to see it happen, because I just want to see him run his offense, his spread option offense, with legitimate athletes, legitimate, you know, resources, and a chance to get real stud blue chip players just one time. You know, in football, everything has a tendency of coming full circle. Chances are, when you see something that's new, more than likely it was at one time old. The modern spread pioneers, Rich Rodriguez, Urban Meyer, Brian Kelly, Joe Tiller, and guys who have taken it to the next level and added their own tweaks, like Chip Kelly, Gus Malzahn, and all the offshoots of the spread that we see now in college football. All they're really doing is running this guy's offense, but out of a shotgun formation. I mean, there's some nuanced differences here and there. Like Urban Meyer, for example, has a heavy veer and wing T influence to his spread option attack. But at their core, their concepts are based on what Paul Johnson's been doing at Georgia Tech, Navy, and Georgia Southern, and before him, TCU was running spread back in the 50s under Dutch Meyer, and also Tiger Ellison was developing his own version of the spread, which became the roots of the run and shoot. So, you know, everything that was once old becomes new again. So I went to work on creating a custom Paul Johnson style spread option playbook out of the Flexbone, basically tweaking some things here and there as far as what formations I included, what formations I junked, and what plays I wanted to keep and all that good stuff. And I'm here playing with K-State in a couple of friends list games, mainly because the quarterback I'm going to be using with Notre Dame in Season 7 of Powerhouse Online Dynasty is almost exactly like him. So I wanted to get a feel of how it would feel like running this offense with that kind of quarterback. And I gotta learn the timing on the bubble screen, but, you know, I got enough to work with. There are some shortcomings. There isn't, I can do a, 12, 15 minute video, on the concepts that are missing out of the Flexbone. It's one of the big disappointments that I encountered while trying to do this. I run an awful lot of QB midline, for example, because there's no QB runs. There's no QB counters, dives, sweeps. So I basically run a lot of midline out of necessity, and the midline isn't really what it should be either. There's no interior defensive line key, so you have to pretty much read the alignment and read the flow of the linebackers as far as getting a feel as to when to give to the fullback or when to keep with the quarterback. And the wingback dive, or the wingback dive game is, pretty good. The wingback toss is hit or miss. And here's a great trap option up until you get that random defensive back strafe glitch. So I went to the ground as soon as I saw it. And here we pop some fullback draw. So I got the core pieces that the game allows me to have to get a nice Paul Johnson-like feel to it. I just wish there was more. There's no screen game to speak of, and I run midline again. Except for that one bubble screen. They actually took plays out that were in the game last year for reasons that, baffle me. But there's no screen game outside of the bubble. I could have gone wing-bone to get the fullback screen game, but then formation tendencies kick in. You become more predictable to defend. So I had to make do with what I could use out of the Flexbone sets. But you get a little introduction to Method to My Madness, and I'll do another video, part 2, where I'll go more into play calling, personnel, how to go about running it to best get the most out of it. So hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.